and welcome to Mylio Photos 22.2. You're going to notice a few things are different. And I know we went over some of these major user interface changes last week, but I want to give you a little quick tour. You're going to notice that with this version, there's a lot more screen real estate for your photos. The biggest change is that all of the views, so your all photos, your map, your people view, all of those things that you're used to using, they're all still here. They're just now along this left sidebar. They used to be here up at the top, and now they're over here at the left. And if you want to know which icon is for which, you can just mouse over it and a little tooltip will pop up so you can get a better idea of which one is which. For most people these days, with the way the new version is laid out, you're probably going to spend a good deal of time in all photos. And that's because we have this nifty new left panel. And when you open it from all photos, it pops directly into QuickFilters. When you open it from the folder view, that's going to actually pop it up into this folder tree here. So you have access to all of your folders, just like you do browsing through the file system, and you can get to them this way. So like I said, we're going to spend most of our time today here in all photos, and we're going to play with our QuickFilters. At the top of our QuickFilters, let me just go ahead and scroll up because I've got a bunch of things open up here. I'll collapse these down so we can see them all properly. Thought I had them all prepared and closed up for you guys, but apparently I was digging around earlier and I didn't realize that I had those set like that. So when you first go into the QuickFilters, this is what you're going to see. Up at the top, there is a search field. And as of today, what this search is smart tags and folder names. Pretty soon, next couple of versions, probably by the end of summer, there's going to be a lot of other criteria that you can add here to the search. But for right now, that's going to be searching the smart tags and your folders. So you can always use those. You can jump down and twirl down these arrows to see all of the different smart tags. And you'll notice we've got a hierarchy here. And we'll go into smart tags a lot more in depth next week. But you'll notice that everything has categories and there's subcategories. And this is something that a lot of people have been asking for with keywords. So this is the foundation for hierarchical keywords. And I know a lot of you have been asking for that. So I just wanted to point that out, that we are working on that. And this is the first step in that direction. So let me go ahead and close up smart tags for a moment. You can filter by folder. And there's that folder tree again. You can go in by date. You can set a date range. And these are some predetermined date ranges that you can use. So you can quickly see, all right, I want to see all the pictures I photographed within the last 7 days. Or I want to see everything that I photographed in the last year. And that's a really quick way to jump to those individual groupings. Up at the top, you'll see when I click on a filter, it pops up with this little pill, and I can clear out individual pills, or I can clear out the entire list by clicking that X at the end. I'm going to go ahead and close up date range here. And if the date range that you want is not listed in one of the predetermined fields, you can also choose by custom. And you'll see I recently did one here for 2020. So any of your previous custom entries we're going to be listed here. You can always get rid of them. You can click the X and clear out the list if you like, or you can pin it, and that's going to pop me up here to all my pictures I have of 2020. So again, I can clear that out. And if I want to set a different date range, I can click into the field, and you'll notice this is very similar to the dialog when you're setting custom dates for images. It's the exact same layout. So you can click on the ellipsis menu. There's your date range all day. You can choose month and year, season and year, so forth. You can even specify you want to see all of your undated photos. And that's going to create a filter based on whatever you enter here. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. I think the custom fields are really quite helpful because we can come up with some great ideas for these predefined things, but chances are what we think is important and what we want to find is not necessarily what you want to find. So we try to add in flexibility for you to be able to get to those things that you need. Next thing down here is by event. So if you've gone through your calendar and either linked a calendar, which means you can bring in your Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, and so forth, have those connected and have Mylio automatically create events for you based on things that are on your calendar. Those are what's going to be showing here. You can also manually create events. So you can see I had a Y2K party back at the end of 1999, and I can quickly jump to all of the pictures from that particular event. So that's another way you can filter. Let's go down here to see by file. Under file type, this is where you can go by photos, videos, documents. That's going to include your PNG files and screenshots. And screenshots are your PNGs. This is a great way if you've brought in pictures from your cell phone and you want to clean up all of those screenshots you've taken on your phone. You can simply hit screenshots and then quickly go through and delete all of those ones that are maybe cluttering up your Mylio Photos library. Under photos, we have some additional options here. So if you're an iPhone user and you take live photos, you can actually filter it by all of your live photos and see everything that's a live photo in your library. You can find all your raw photos, long exposures, panoramas, selfies. It's just a great way to jump to specific types of images. Let's go ahead and close that up here for a second. And I'm going to go and show you file extension. So if you're somebody who wants to look for a specific file type from a specific type of camera, let's say I want to see everything shot from my Canon R6, and I know those are all CR3 files. I can go ahead and click on that, and that's going to pull up all of my CR3 files. So let's go ahead and close up by file and jump down to by album. So this lets you filter the list by specific albums. So if you've gone through and created custom albums for any variety of situations, you can go in here and say, I want to see all of my pictures that are fallen leaves. And now you'll notice up here at the top, I have some pills because we're not showing any results. I'm going, okay, what did I miss? Well, I didn't clear out those CR3s and I didn't clear out those long exposures. So you can see how these build up on top of each other and can create some very sophisticated filters for you to find specific things. Let's go ahead and close up by album. If you haven't used categories yet in Mylio, I do encourage you to start exploring them. These are going to get more powerful over the next 6 months or so, but you can go ahead and mark individual pictures or folders of images with certain categories. So I can say all of my things that are private or things that are related to my husband's naval career or things that I've marked as travel. I can easily jump to those categories, and it's just one more way that you can use to find and filter to specific images. We also have, let's go ahead and collapse these down so we can kind of keep going here. We have by person. So if you've gone through and you've named all the important people in your life, you can quickly jump to pictures of specific people. I'm going to go ahead and close that up. We have all of our ratings, labels, and flags. So if you want to see everything you've marked as 5 stars, go ahead and click on that 5 stars. Right now, I'm still in that Fallen Leaves album. I can click that out. And now I can see everything in my library that's been marked with 5 stars. You can go ahead and clear out those filters from there. And you can go here to your stars, your color labels, or your flags. This is also a great way to see if you've marked anything as rejects that maybe you still need to go through and delete. You can simply click that reject flag and see everything you've marked as a reject, and then revisit these images and decide if you actually need to go through and get rid of them permanently. Next up, we have by camera and by lens. And this is really cool because this lets you go down to individual cameras. We start out with the camera make, and we can scroll down these arrows and see each individual model of camera that we've taken pictures with. From there, if you notice, some of these have a twirl down next to the name. And this actually goes down to the serial number of the camera. So if you have worked with different serial numbers of cameras that are the same model, or maybe you have a job where you're a second shooter or you have a second shooter working for you, you guys are using the same camera, but different serial numbers, you can actually find them based on the serial number of that camera. So this is really super helpful for certain situations. It just lets you get very granular with finding images based on which camera they were shot with. Let's go ahead and close that up. And let me go ahead and I'm going to clear out that rejected flag and pull this back up. And I'm going to close it by camera. The next option here is by lens. And same thing as we looked at with camera, we have all of our different lenses that were shot with here. And if you find one that is similar, I don't know that I have any here that I've shot with the same lens, 2 different serial numbers of the same lens, but you would have the same option. So you can find things very, very, very specifically. Let me go ahead and close that back up. And you can see that a lot of these lists are quite long. So you're definitely going to want to keep these twirled up unless you're using them. And if you want to eliminate some of these options, so some of these might not be useful to you. Maybe you don't use categories at all. It just doesn't speak to you. It doesn't work for you. You can go up here to the settings and you can turn that off and remove it from your list. So that's just a little tip there in case you want to clean that up if there's things here that you just will never use. The last one I want to talk about here is by custom. So if you remember our original filter tool that you guys had just yesterday, this is very similar as going into custom there. You can put in all of our advanced search expressions and you can come up with some very, very specific filters to apply to your images. So one of the questions I've already seen pop up in our community is which of these, when you start stacking them together, which of them are and which of them are or. So the and is going to be your ratings and your smart tags. Everything else is or. So what I ran into is I wanted to have a filter that gave me both my 4 and 5 star images and it gave me my flagged images. The way it's set up currently is if I go up here to the rating and if I type in 4 and 5 stars, that's great. That's giving me all of my 4 and 5 star images. But if I also added my pick flags, instead of giving me additional images that are flagged, it's actually going to give me many fewer because it's only going to do the ones that are flagged and have a 4 or 5 star. So that's not exactly the search that I wanted. So I came up with a custom search that gives me exactly what I needed. So I'm going to clear out those filters and go down here. I have this one flagged 1, which is the pick flag rating here. So flagged is 1 or rating 4s and 5s. So those are my stars. I go ahead and click that. And that's going to give me exactly what I want, which lets me see all of my favorite photos. So in the way that I think through my photos, things that go in my portfolio or things that I want to share online, typically will get a 4 or 5 star. And then things that are just fun and meaningful to me, maybe nothing that's worthy of my portfolio, but it means something to me personally, I'll mark those with flags. So those are going to be my favorite images, whether they have a flag or 4 or 5 stars, and I want to be able to see all of them together. So that's why I created this custom filter. So there's a lot of things you can do here and a lot of fun. I want to stop and see, looks like we have a lot of stuff going on in the chat. JC, is there anything that we need to address before we keep going?
You might want to talk about the invert results button.
Absolutely. Yeah, invert and link. There's a few other things that we can jump into.
Yeah.
So a few other options that we have here. I'm going to go ahead and clear out this filter that we've got. And let's say, in Mylio Photos 22.1, so the previous version and all earlier versions, when you added a filter, it was persistent across all views. So let me just jump into smart tags here, and I'm going to go to animal and choose cat. I'm going to go ahead and pin that. And if I jump to the calendar view, previously, I would have expected to see all of this be all cat photos. But you'll notice I don't have any filters selected in this particular view. We've made this change because people were getting confused as to why certain pictures were missing. However, you can still make a filter persistent if you want to. So let me jump back over here to my all photos where I still have cat applied. And then I can click the link button. And now in any view that I go to, all I'm going to see are cat photos. So I can go over here to my calendar and let me just double click that to go back to the top level. And now I have a calendar full of cats. I can go to the map view, see every place that I've had all of my cats, which is pretty funny. I've had them all over the place quite a bit, mostly down here in San Diego. I can go over to people view and any place that I've had pictures with pets, with cats, those are going to be here. And go to my albums, and that's just going to show albums that have potentially cat pictures. And in my folders view, places that I also have cat pictures. So that makes that filter persistent across all of those results. Now, let's say we want to see everything but cat pictures. Let's go ahead and jump back to the all photos. We can then invert the results, and now it's going to show us everything except cat photos. All right. So that can be really helpful as well. I'm going to go ahead and click that back on. And let's go into the cat folder here specifically. And we want to see all of, let's go here. Let's go ahead and mark the tabbies. So we want to see all of the cat pictures that are tabbies. But let's say we want to see all the cat pictures that are not tabbies. What we can do is do a you can do a tap and hold or a click and hold, and then you get a little menu here. You can say exclude filter. So it's then going to exclude all tabby cats from my cat list. All right. So those are some really cool features here. Again, you can use to build up very specific searches and filters. And one other question that I wanted to tackle was the difference between search and filter. As we've always had, we've had a separate search tool and a separate filter tool. So search, it starts with nothing. You put in what you want and it starts giving you results based on whatever you type in. So let me go ahead and type in cat here, and it's going to start bringing up cat pictures. And I could put in orange cat, and it's going to start giving me more and more results as it has things that fit that particular search. Filters is subtractive, where search is additive and it's going to add more results based on what parameters you put in there. Filters is subtractive, so it's going to eliminate things based on the parameters that you set. So what I suggest is if you want to find something very, very specific, you might want to start with search. If you're looking to whittle down the results and find something in the neighborhood of a larger group of images, filters can be very, very helpful in narrowing down the amount of images you're looking through to find something specific. Now, it's worth noting that we have this brand new, beautiful Quick Filters tool, and search is still our old tool. We are working on a brand new search interface that's going to be much, much better and much more fun to use. As you've probably seen in some of our documentation, this is considered preview 1 of version 23. So even though the build number is 22.2, this is the first preview of what is coming in Mylio Photos 23, which is we're anticipating towards the end of summer, early fall. So lots of really cool things coming. This is just step 1 in that direction. And as you can see, there's a lot of really fun stuff in here. Now, next week for Coffee Break, we're going to be diving deep into smart tags, and I'm going to be showing you a lot of fun ways to work with these, how to promote them to actual keywords, how you can start training Mylio on your computer, how it works, how it relates to your privacy, and all that kind of stuff. Are there any other questions about quick filters for today?
Will the old search bar be retained after the new search mechanism goes in?
So you're never going to lose functionality. So there's always going to be some sort of custom search. So even if it's more graphical and, you know, more things that you can click on to get to where you want to go, you're always going to be able to put in those Boolean searches that you want. So same as you can use down here under custom, all those advanced search expressions that you have in the manual right now, all of those can be entered down here in custom as well. And that functionality for filter or search is not going to go away.
And is the console going to be retained?
As far as I know, there's no plans to get rid of that.
I don't think we'll
Hallelujah.
ever get rid of the console. We
Hallelujah.
might hide it more so people don't find it by mistake. But
Yeah. I mean, I love these quick filters, but as you know, I write SQL, and I also have a library of strings I've built to do specific things with my library. So this stuff is cool, but I'm still relying on my old stuff till I learn it.
Well, absolutely. And we don't want to take away functionality that people have come to rely on, especially people who like to get in there and get very technical and very just get in there and get into the weeds. But we also want to make it approachable and usable for people who don't want to do that, because it's a balance to be had, but we don't want to take away functionality.
This is nice.
Awesome. Let's see.
Angela, David is asking if items can be added to quick filters, which you sort of can.
Well, so you can use the custom down here. You can enter in whatever you want. So if you go to the manual, let me go ahead and pull up the manual here really quick. I'm going to grab this from my other screen. 1 second. So if you go into the Finding Your Photos and Videos section in the manual and you go down to Advanced Search Expressions, all of these different search expressions can be used and added as quick filters. So let's go ahead and grab one here that is, let's just grab one of these ones that I had set up. So sunset in California. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and jump over here to enter this into my custom. I'm going to go ahead and paste that there. And that's going to bring up things that meet that particular criteria. Now, if I want to use this over and over, I can go ahead and keep this here, and it's gonna get saved. If I decide I no longer want to have that available to me, I can just click that X and it gets rid of it out of my list. But I can go back to that particular custom filter anytime. So that is one way you can add things. All right, well, I gave you guys a lot of information, walked you through a lot of different ways that you can use this and play with this and have fun. I want to turn you loose today a bit earlier than we usually do, so you can go out there and use this. And if you have questions, if you have feedback, we definitely want to hear this. So please feel free to pipe in the community. You can always post there. You can tag me. You can even send me a private message if that's what you prefer. And we'll do our best to answer all your questions. You'll notice as you go through and use some of these things that maybe it doesn't work the way you expect. We want to hear about that because this is only going to get better. And we're really, really excited to get this technology in front of you. So with that, if there are no other questions,
I do.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Angela, I do have a question.
Sure.
About 6 hours ago, after I got back from work last night, about 10 o'clock, I uploaded it, ran it, perfect.
Okay.
Couldn't find the smart tags, but of course it was crunching through the smart tags, trying to find them all. Yep. Popped out half an hour ago, and it's perfect. So thank you. That's really cool. It's now populated those. They, I take it, get pushed across the vaults and across my Mylio platform, right? So
yep.
Yes.
Now that I have it running on my iPhone, I'll see those smart tags there as well, I take it.
Correct.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was something worth noting. So if the first time you open it up, if there's not much showing under smart tags, it's because Mylio is going through and scanning every image in your library and doing that computer vision to find all of the things that could be in that picture and assigning confidence values to those. We'll talk more about that next week too. But it takes a bit of time. And also, if you have a very small library, you're not going to get as robust of results with the smart tags as you do if you have a large library. So just give it a little bit of time. Make sure your library has, a good amount of images. There's not really a number on there I'm going to say that you should have, but if you only have a couple of folders with a couple hundred images, you're not going to get a whole lot out of smart tags. But if you have several thousand images, or even hundreds of thousands of images, you're going to love those smart tags and it's going to do really, really well. But just give it some time to populate.
Hey,
yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Darren.
Two other things. The event, I noticed you had some events. How does the event get determined? Because I clicked on my event and I'd seen a trip to South Africa and I think another event from different dates, but nothing that stood out. And I just wondered, how does it determine what an event is?
So there's two different ways that you can create events. My preferred way is to do them manually. So I go here into my calendar, and each one of these little dots are events that I created based on a time range. So if I go here onto 2023 and open up my info panel over here, you can see the different events.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and click on this one here. This is just last week. I was up visiting my parents up on the Central Coast. So I can go in and I can see all of my photos from this event. And I've marked this as a date range. So I've manually put this all in there. And then I've used that 4 and 5 stars and flags event filter. So I'm only seeing the best pictures inside of this event. So we'll talk more about how to do that later on as well.
Thank you.
But
Thanks
this
for
is how I
reminding
like
me.
to do my events.
I remember we did that on our session many, many months ago. So thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for reminding me.
No problem.
And the other thing that I mentioned, I think once before, was around receipts. I use my camera. Every time I buy something, I take a photo of the receipt. Some pop up, some don't. I see there isn't sort of any custom-y thing or any tag for that, but I take it that's probably in the pipeline maybe.
Yeah, quite possibly. So it depends on what mechanism you're using. If it's just a picture, it's a little bit harder to filter out because it's just probably a JPEG or an HEIC, depending on what format you have set up on your phone. So it's going to be mixed in with those pictures. But you can still use the search up here to find things that have text on them. So if you went to, I don't know, there's Costco around the world these days. You can type in Costco, it should pull up all of your Costco receipts.
Yeah, and we have a tech store that I use. I put its name in on the earlier version and it was fine. Okay. I just wondered, is there any particular form of, do you type text in there and everything with text on it pops up? Is that
Oh,
something
I
that might
believe there is
happen?
a custom search you can do for that. There is, if we go back over here to the manual, here under the advanced search expressions, if you scroll down, OCR text. So you can search
Fantastic.
for things that only have the OCR. And if you're not able to figure out the exact search to put in there for that, let us know and we'll figure it out. I know I've looked for it before, and I think I might have had to ask one of our developers, but there is a search you can do that will pull up everything that has recognized text.
You've just made my morning. Thank you. I didn't know about that. So that page. Well done. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And then there was a question that came to me directly from Deb. Are we able to share photos in Mylio to family who don't have a Mylio account, which is a feature we have forthcoming, but you can answer it in more detail.
Yeah, so right now the best way to share things with family and friends is, to grab those images that you want to share. So let me just I'm going to do a Command or Control A here to select all of the pictures in this particular grouping. And then I can hit the share button here in the upper right. System clipboard lets me basically copy and paste other things. So I could say system clipboard and then paste them into an email or paste them into a text message. I could send them directly to my default email provider. I could open up messages here on Mac. That's a Mac specific, as is AirDrop. Or if I just want to put them on my desktop to maybe put into a Dropbox folder or some other means of sharing them with a family member, you can just hit export, choose the file type and so forth that you want to send, choose export. It's going to save them to your computer's hard drive, and then you can go ahead and share that folder however you wish. But as JC said, we've got some really cool family sharing stuff in the works that will be more account related, but more on that in the coming months. And then it looked like there was one more question here from David. Can custom items be added to the category in smart tags? Not at this time. But if you have things that you see are missing, smart tags that you really want to see, let us know, give the feedback in the forum or in the community, because there are a lot of different items out there. So we are actively taking feedback on this and want to know what you guys want to see.
Yeah, post that on the forum as well, because a lot of our developers are there. I look at the forums every morning, and when I see something that's specific to a certain feature, I usually send that link directly to the developer that I know is working on that feature so that they can see the feedback directly. And they don't always comment because a lot of engineers are very shy, but they're always looking at it and learning from it. So
awesome.
The feedback coming.
Yes, please. All right. Any other questions that I've missed?
No.
All right, everyone. Any last minute questions? Going once, going twice?
Yeah, thank you, Angela and JC. Appreciate it. You guys and the rest of your team did a phenomenal job on this release. It really is amazing.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure, and we're really excited to have this out to you and looking forward to seeing what you think.
Have fun.
Yep, absolutely. With that, I want to wish you guys all a wonderful rest of your day. Have fun. We'll see you in the community, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.